Good morning, everyone. This is Jarvis Escott for What's Happening in Birmingham. Today I got the honor and pleasure of being with Judge Raymond Chambliss. Judge, thank you for taking time out your day. I know that Monday through Fridays is very busy for your docket.
Yeah, good morning, Jarvis. It's good to be here. Sometimes everybody has to take a break, and today is my break.
Okay. The reason why he's coming to speak with us this morning is to tell him about he's running for re-election.
That's correct.
For Family Court Circuit Judge, Place 18.
That's correct.
And Judge, just tell us why you're running for re-election.
I'm really running for re-election. Number one, to continue to make a difference at Family Court. And what I mean by making a difference, that is helping to ensure that young people do not continue to make the wrong choices. And I'm also running to complete my mission at Family Court. And it's my mission at Family Court to preserve and protect families, Jarvis. And you can understand why, as a family court judge, I would want to preserve and protect families, because where did you, Jarvis, learn how to respect other people and their property? Where did you learn not to shoot people, kill people? Where did you learn not to steal? From the family unit. And now we're seeing the family unit break down, and I'm trying to preserve and protect that.
Okay. Can you tell someone what's the day-to-day duties in the family court, because there's so many different court systems that goes on?
At family court, in my opinion, I am the presiding judge at the most important court in Birmingham and Jefferson County in Alabama in the world. Because what I'm doing, I am working with young people who are making the wrong choices, who don't have the same kind of blessings that I have been coming up in a family where parents taught me the difference between right and wrong, where parents took me to church.
Okay. I guess kind of before we go deeper into, why you're running, you tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, I mean, my wife is around, so I better not tell her age, but I can tell mine. I finished Parker in 1968, Age Parker High School. I grew up right there in the Smithfield community. And like I tell people all the time, I came from a two-parent home, which, is important, but it is not a death sentence if you don't come from a two-parent home. I was blessed. And I was blessed in a sea of turmoil over in Smithfield, where you had a lot of cuttings. You had, people were cutting each other, shooting each other. But my parents kept me steady. And I understood, me coming in that kind of environment, that God wanted me to do something, and God wanted me to do something special about preserving the family. Because whenever, Jarvis, I was out in the streets and I might be doing something deviant, my parents' names were Prince and Marguerite, and I could hear Marguerite telling me, boy, that's not right. And that's what we've got to get back to. We're talking about going over to Afghanistan, winning hearts and minds. We better do that right here, Jarvis. I then finished Parker High School, and then my high school sweetheart and I got married, Miss Diana. And we then went over to Atlanta. I went to Morehouse College for a couple of years. She was at Spelman, but the expenses got to be a little bit too much for us, so we came back to Birmingham. I then went to UAB, finished UAB. I got a job as a probation aide at Jefferson County Family Court in 1972. So I have extensive experience in family court. I worked as a probation aide, went to UAB at night, obtained my degree, and I became a probation officer. I watched the lawyers coming in and out of the courtroom, and I said, wait a minute, these guys don't have that much sense. I said, I can do this. So thank God that Miles College School of Law was in existence. I went to school at Miles at night, became a lawyer. So in 1983, I passed the bar, sat around as a probation officer for about a year, didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was offered and accepted a job as a legal aid defense attorney. And you guessed it, Jarvis, at Family Court. They told me, since I had so much experience. So I stayed there for about a year, and I was actually making less money as a legal aid attorney than I was as a probation officer. Diana cooked a lot of chicken livers and rice during that time, I'll tell you that. God blessed us for me to be offered, and I accepted the job as deputy district attorney. I did that for about a year and a half, and I imagine you guess where that was, Jarvis, at Jefferson County Family Court. The then DA David Barber said, well, since you have so much experience in family court, why don't you head my family court office? I did that for about 1.5 years. After about 1.5 years, David Barber said, well, look, why don't you come downtown, learn jury trials, and then one day you might want to get out and be an attorney, you know, because you have the ability to practice law, and you will probably do well. So in getting ready to go to family court, God said, I'm not going to have that. I was offered and accepted by the then presiding judge, Judge Charles Nice. He offered me a job as a referee, which is a judicial position. I then sat in judgment of young people who were making the wrong choices. I started out supervising them as a probation officer. I defended them as a legal aid attorney. I prosecuted them as DA. Now I sit in judgment. I did that for about 9 years, and then I was offered a position as municipal court judge. And I said, well, bye-bye family court. And I figured I would go on, be a municipal court judge, and then sit there for a couple of years and then go practice law. My high school sweetheart told me, no way in the world, buddy, you're coming back to family court. I actually fought it, Jarvis. I stayed in municipal court for about 16 years, retired, and went into private practice. And I was doing pretty well in private practice. One Friday, I was ready to go, and I don't know why I didn't leave. About 6 o'clock, I'm just sitting in my office looking at the wall. And this woman came in, and she pointed at me. She used to be a volunteer at family court and said, Raymond, I don't know what you're doing, but you are supposed to be at family court. And it just shook me to the point that I came, I ran, and I was able to win the election. And I've been back at family court since December 2013 as the presiding judge. I knew what the skeletons were. I knew what I wanted to do to preserve and protect families.
So how many cases a day come up with?
Oh, I would say that I would hear anywhere from 20 to 40 cases a day, unless I have a trial there at family court. And family court is a much more complicated animal than a lot of attorneys will try and tell you. There are different levels of proof. In some cases, I have to decide whether the charges are true from a preponderance of the evidence. Some I got to have clear and convincing evidence. And in the delinquent cases, it's got to be beyond a reasonable doubt. And what was waiting on me the first 2 days when I got back to family court, I had a 26-day trial over a custody issue. See, because we at family court, we have a multitude of different kind of cases. I might decide a custody case one day. I might decide a dependency case. And when I'm talking about a dependency case, that is a child that has been abused or neglected. And some people are not even aware of this, but if you don't send a child to school, that child can be deemed dependent.
Oh, okay.
So, and we also have truancy cases, and we also have jurisdiction over adults, and we have jurisdiction over child support cases, paternity cases. But I tell you, my most favorite misdemeanor, and what I'm trying to get the DA's office to push, we are able to hold parents liable for not properly discharging their duties as parents, and that charge is contributing to the delinquency of a minor. If I have a minor out in the streets at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning committing offenses, and let's say he's 14 years old, I'm not mad with him. I'm mad with mom or daddy. Why is this child out at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning? And that parent can and will be prosecuted up under my administration.
Okay. Okay. What are some of the current issues facing the judicial court system?
Well, my main thing, the biggest issue is a lack of parenting. I know I keep going back to the parent, but that is the biggest issue that faces us. And another thing, another big issue that we face there is locking children up. We are trying to get away from just willy-nilly just locking children up for simply, just because a child makes an adult mad doesn't mean that the child should be locked up. A lot of times I get the police department mad with me because they would take a child over there for, let's say, disorderly conduct. And we release the child. And then they're saying, well, the child beat us home. Well, if you're an adult, you have the right to make a bond. A child does not have the right to make a bond. We can hold a child for up to 3 days before he or she has a hearing, which is what we would call a detention hearing, and it would be my decision and my decision alone as to whether or not this child is released.
Okay. What do you think has been some of the main accomplishments of your first term?
My main accomplishment is the fact that when I came back, I understood that the family needed preserving and protecting. So what I have done and been doing since the moment I set foot in family court is trying to establish a family resource center. Because let's take for example, we have a young lady with 5 children. And she ain't got no business with 5 children, but she got them. So that means that if she has to go to counseling in a mental health counseling over in Inslee, she's got to catch the bus to go there. She has to take the child to health service at UAB. She got to go to Southside. Impact counseling is further south. And let's say that her child wants to go to vocational education. That's out at Lawson State. So that is a lot of traveling for this young lady. What I want to do is create as much as possible a one-stop shop. So these young ladies, you know, these families can just walk across the street and have vocational education in one building. They can have parenting classes in one building. They can have child care services in one building. They can have, like I said, individual counseling. And I also spoke with the then existing police chief, Chief Roper. And what I want to do is put a police substation in a one-stop shop.
Okay.
And that way, I don't want the police to get on their motorcycles and their cars. I want them to walk that neighborhood, play a little basketball with them when they see them in the streets playing basketball. Let the neighborhood get to know that, hey, we're here to protect you. And Jarvis, I have made significant steps towards establishing that resource center because I have formed a 501c3 nonprofit, and I have about 15 people on my board all across the community.
What's the name of it?
501. Well, I guess we'll call it the Family Court Resource Center.
Okay.
And what we have done, and what we are in the process of doing, is cleaning up the old Ilton school building over on Center Street.
Yeah, I know.
Right. And we have, the mayor has helped us secure a $1.4 million grant. And we've actually started the cleanup process. I'm looking for a press conference in the near future so that we can announce that we are going to have that resource center. But in addition to the Ilton, I actually had a young lady from the Tiny Kingdom over at Mountain Brook come over and said that God had put it on her mind to build us a playground.
Okay.
So she wants to enhance the playground that we have over there. But in addition to those properties, and by the way, the city will lease that building to me for $1 a year. I think we can afford it.
Yeah, $1.
But anyhow, we also, my nonprofit, the 501c3, the Family Court Resource Board, also owns 5 acres right behind Family Court that was donated to me. And we initially wanted to put the resource center on the 5 acres, but you can imagine how much it would cost for us to build new buildings. So I am hopeful that my successor will come along and develop those properties behind us there. Compass Bank actually committed, as stated, that they would probably lend us up to $12 million if we show community interest, which we are showing community interest. And since I'm here with you today, Jarvis, let me just give a shout out to the fact that we are going to have Judge Hatcher, who comes on TV, the judge that you see coming on making decisions about people. Judge Hatcher will be here Thursday morning between 11:30 and 1:30 at a luncheon that we're having. We've already sold about over 100 tickets and $50 a piece, and we have several organizations that bought tables at $4.75 a table. At this point, I can't tell you how much money we've raised, but we, I think the figure will be significant.
Okay. What's one thing you want people to know about if they have to come into your courtroom, as far as preparations or that protocol?
How do I want them to respond to me?
Well, if they have to come before you.
Well, the only thing I want them to understand that you got definite fairness in it. You have fairness and impartiality. I don't care what color you are. I don't know if you care if you got one arm, two arms, two legs, or whatnot. Fairness and impartiality is there, and that we definitely follow the spirit of the Lord.
Okay. What are some things that voters need to be looking for when, it's Tuesday, June the 5th? You have a lot of people running for judges in several races. What are some key qualifications and things they should look when deciding who to vote for?
What I would do if I was not familiar with what a judge does, or if I didn't know the qualifications, I would talk to some of these lawyers that practice before the judges. And the most important thing in a judge is fairness, that a judge will listen at both sides and give both sides equal weight before he or she makes a decision, and that judge follows the law as it is written. Because you will hear a lot of times people talking about judge-made laws. A lot of times judges will get up there and bend the law to their way of thinking. And that is for the legislature to make the laws. It is up to us to see to it that us as judges, to see to it that those laws are followed fairly and impartially, regardless to where you come from, Jarvis, regardless to who you are.
Okay. Well, this is the part of the interview where I step away, and in the closing moments, you look straight in the camera and you kind of tell the voters why should they vote for you, re-elect you on June the 5th.
In terms of experience, I should be elected June the 5th, 2018, to complete my mission at Family Court. I want to serve this great county one more term. I feel like if I am re-elected to one more term, I can complete my mission of preserving and protecting that family so that we can get good, positive messages coming out of those families to young people. And at one time, I wanted a family to look like Ozzie and Harriet. I wanted to have a husband and a wife and a boy and a girl running around, and they running the church. I don't care if the family consists of Big Mama. If Big Mama is taking them to church, teaching them to respect everyone and their property. June 5th, vote Raymond Pierce.